Mia. Ricketts is at the high point. Jones. Romaterio has a lane. Nicholas Romaterio, the shot. Scores! Holy jumping! The Italian stallion puts the puck in the back of the net. Mamma mia, Nicholas Romaterio! Up the ice, short-handed, 2-on-1. Kirsten has Nixon. Scores! Holy jumping! It's a short-handed goal, and the Oakville Blades are running away with this one. Josh Nixon. McDermott to Israels, to McDermott. McDermott down low, centering. Scores! Mamma mia! What a goal! Kyle Potts puts the puck in the back of the net in back-to-back nights. Tic-tac-toe. And the Blades passing comes to perfection. Block that shot. And coming the other way is Alton McDermott. He's in on the breakaway. Scores! Holy jumping! His grandfather, Paul Henderson, must be ecstatic about that one because Alton McDermott just scored his first career Buckland Cup final playoff goal.
You're watching Mamma Mia! This is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to episode number 7 of Mamma Mia! This is Fire Talk. I'm Nicholas Fiore, the Oakville Blades play-by-play broadcaster, and joining me on this episode is former NHLer, over 808 games played with the Vancouver Canucks and the Anaheim Ducks, Kevin Bieksa. Kevin, thanks for joining.
My pleasure.
So let's get into it right away. You're a local boy, obviously from Ontario, from Grimsby. You also played with Burlington in the OJHL, well, OPJHL when you were playing. How was obviously playing in that league, and how grateful are you to have made obviously the big leagues coming from Grimsby?
Well, the OJMHA was a good league when I played. It was kind of the stepping stone for a lot of kids that wanted to pursue a college scholarship. That was kind of if you played Junior B in the Golden Horseshoe League, which was also a good league at the time, then you were probably destined just to play out to your 20-year-old year and then right into the beer leagues. But it seemed like the Tier 2 Junior A was more of the stepping stone to college. A lot of showcase games and tournaments. A lot of guys I played with and guys I played against ended up getting scholarships to either Division I or Division III schools and kind of pursuing their hockey career. So grateful for my 3 years with Burlington. I don't think we lost a game to Oakville in my 3 years there. So a lot of good memories and a lot of good memories in the Oakville arena.
That's great. And now it's the opposite way. A lot of good memories for Oakville in the Burlington barn at the Appleby Ice Center there. So okay. The Oakvilles had their number the last few years. On a little bit of a funnier note, I think I got your last name right. I know Don Cherry messed it up a couple times on Coach's Corner, but I think I'm good.
Yeah, it sounded good to me. I didn't really pay attention, which is a good thing. So that means I didn't really hear anything. But you're a little bit younger. You're a little younger than Don Cherry, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
He's still a legend in a lot of people's eyes. So we'll give that. We'll let that fly there. And, Canada, right? Obviously from Canada, and representing your country is basically a second to none and a dream for a lot of players and a lot of kids as well. Spengler Cup, World Championships. You captained Team Canada at the World Championships in the 2013-2014 tournament. What is it like representing your country?
It's awesome. It's honestly a huge honor. It's something that I never really experienced a little bit later in my career because I was always fortunate in Vancouver that we made the playoffs almost every year. We had long runs, didn't really have many opportunities to go over. I think the 2 seasons that we did miss out on the playoffs, it was kind of last minute. I was battling through injuries, so when I got a call for the World Championships, I wasn't able to go. So my first time playing for Canada was, like you said, the 2014 World Championships. They elected me captain, which was an unbelievable honor. Obviously, there was a lot of great players on that team back then. Looking back, it was Morgan Riley, Nathan McKinnon, Mark Scheifele, Sean Monahan. I mean, Huberdeau, the list goes on, right? Tyler Myers. There was a plethora of great players. It was an honor. I was a little bit older than a lot of them. I think that had something to do with it, but it was a great experience. Got to play against some of these countries that I've never played against. Italy being one of them, and Czech Republic, Slovakia. it was interesting, an interesting dynamic. Spengler Cup was a little bit different animal too, because I got to bring my family there. My kids were a little bit older. It was my last, time playing professional hockey on the ice. In the March following the Spengler Cup, I actually went to England and played in a Canada-US game where I was, again, the captain for Canada. So anytime I'm asked to play for my country, usually, unless I'm injured, it would be it's an honor, and it's a for sure thing.
You played obviously with 2 NHL teams in your 13 seasons, and there's a lot of players who play with a lot more teams, and sometimes that might not be a good thing. But for yourself, obviously 3 seasons in Anaheim, several seasons, I guess you'd say 10 with Vancouver. Let's touch upon first the how hard was it to go from the farm team in the AHL and try to finally break through and be a consistent NHL player with Vancouver?
Yeah, that was difficult, but I think the jump from college to the AHL was a lot different game. College was different back then. It was fast. It was very physical. You're wearing a full cage. You're almost fearless out there. You're blocking shots. You're going down face first. But it was very physical. And then when you get to the pro game, I felt like the speed wasn't much higher than the college game. But obviously guys are a little bit more savvy, a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. So that, I mean, like, everything's an adjustment, but that's part of being able to make it is you make that adjustment quickly. I was able to make the adjustment really quick into the AHL, and then the AHL to the NHL again was a pretty easy, seamless adjustment. Not easy, but it was a seamless adjustment where, you put the work in the summer and you get yourself properly ready, physically strong, in good shape, and everything else kind of just fell into place for me.
You've obviously played with a lot of great players over the 13 seasons. Was there anyone like the Sedin brothers in Vancouver?
Sorry, was the question, is there anybody similar to them?
Yeah, just like for you personally, like was it any better to play with those 2 guys?
No, they were pretty special guys to play with, and I was lucky because when I came up, we were all young. We're a year apart. They were there a couple of years before me, but we essentially, when I came to Vancouver with the big club, they were just starting to kind of take that step from second, third liners into the go-to guys. And I saw that. I witnessed the transformation firsthand. And, things weren't always easy for them. And they still, throughout their career, they battled a lot of adversity, a lot of media scrutiny, a lot of opposing, analysts and pundits thinking they couldn't quite measure up to being first-line players. And I've always said, too, the mentally toughest guys ever, they persevered, they worked hard as anybody, and I watched them grow into superstars and Hall of Famers, and it was a great ride. So they, 2 guys, if for me as a defenseman, if I got open, they were going to find me, and there's very few guys that were like that. So they were a big part of the success I had, for sure.
Looks like your dog is in the mood of quarantine and chill right now.
Yeah, he's lights out. He's been in the water all day. I'm in Ontario right now, and we're just a little bit north of Toronto, and it's some good days here. We skated yesterday, but the majority of our days are on the water right now.
Yeah, and how have you, the family, the kids, you guys have been well during this quarantine period?
Yeah, we've made the best of it. We were in California finishing up the school year, so when quarantine started, we like everybody else were a little bit stir crazy at home. But I have a hockey academy in California, and we were kind of grounded mid-March, much like you guys here. So a lot of my kids haven't been skating, and we're kind of eager to get back on the ice. So it is what it is, right? We're making the best out of it, but we're back in Canada now for the summer. We did our quarantine. We're healthy and we're good to go. So we're just trying to make the best of it.
And I think post hockey, you might want to become a TikTok star, eh?
That's kind of fell into my lap. I'm going to blame my daughter for that. It's, but they're fun. They're fun and they're addicting. So there'll be a couple more you'll see in the future.
Oh, that's for sure. I didn't want to get it. I was off work in March, and I didn't want to get it. And maybe mid-May, I said, "Uh-oh, so I have to do something because I'm losing my mind at home." Right?
Yeah, that's right.
What's Hart? You've been a fighter as well in the league, and I wouldn't maybe classify yourself as a fighter, but you dropped the mitts when you had to drop the mitts. Who was the toughest opponent that you had to drop the gloves against?
Ooh, that's tough because I fought a lot of tough guys, and there's never can never think that you're immune to getting hit with a punch. And one of the worst fight that I lost in my career was against a guy, not to take anything away from him, but against a guy that I thought I should have definitely beat, Tom Kostopoulos, and he hit me with a clean shot, and he dislocated my nose, knocked my tooth out, and closed my eye with one punch. And I ended up fighting him 8 months later and got the best of him the second time. But every single guy I dropped the gloves was tough. Wayne Simmons was always a fun guy to fight. I fought him a couple times. Mike Richards. I enjoyed fighting the guys that were skill guys, not skill guys, but guys that played the game hard, but were good players on their team. Because I was always in a similar situation where I never considered myself a fighter when I grew up. And the way I played is you just, you played hard and you fought your own battles. That's the way the game was when I first came into the league. So a lot of my fights were just from battles. And there was a lot of guys on every team that fought. And, if you got too physical, you end up fighting your guys. So I just happened to really like it and be pretty good at it. So that's why I probably did it a little bit more than I should have.
People say fighting should be out of the game. People say fighting is a part of the game and is the game. What's your opinion? Because over time, you see there's not much fighting. There's a lot more skilled players like a McDavid and a Marner and Huberdeau and so on and so forth. Should fighting still be allowed, and obviously a big aspect in the NHL specifically?
Yeah, the fighting is slowly being weaned out of the game. It'll never completely be out of the game because the guys you just mentioned, McDavid and Marner, to allow them to fly through the neutral zone free and not get kneed by an opposing big defenseman, there has to be some threat of retaliation at some point. So if you want those guys to have the freedom, you want them to wheel and make highlight reel plays and be entertained, you have to kind of have somebody in the back that's ready to look out for them and is a bit of a deterrent to the other team. I can't imagine playing in the game this day. Like, I've only been out of the game 2 years, but I would do whatever I want these days. There's nobody really out there that's going to deter you. So you see the guys that are a little bit physical now, like the Cassians and the Reeves and the Tom Wilsons. These guys run amok. They do whatever the hell they want. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but they do whatever they want out there, right? Like, they're taking runs at guys. Tom Wilson, he's a guy every 3 games, and there's nobody that's keeping those guys accountable. So that's the way the league is going to turn out if you eliminate fighting. But there's a right amount for the way the game is right now. There's a right amount of fighting. I think you'll still see it once in a while.
Well, you know what? Myself and my dad, we watch every Maple Leaf game. I mean, clearly look behind me, right? And every time Freddie Anderson gets whacked or someone gets nailed, if Marner gets hit from behind, I mean, there's Nylander, there's Matthews, there's Riley, there's all these guys on the ice. But if it's Wayne Simmons coming in the blue paint, no one's going to fight Wayne Simmons of those guys that I mentioned. So that's where you see it almost is like you need that, maybe yourself, and you need the Colton Orr and the Matt Martin still, but those fourth liners, it's almost all skill on the ice now.
Yeah, well, maybe you don't need you mentioned like Colton Orr and Matt Martin. Like, maybe the thing is, it's hard to find, but you need guys that can fight when you need them to, but can also play the game. So
yes.
I mentioned Ryan Reeves. If you look at a guy like Ryan Reeves, obviously very, very tough and can fight when you need him to, but he's put himself in a situation where he can play the game still. A guy like Chris Stewart in Philadelphia, he can play the game still, and he's also can beat the wheels off. He's Zach Cassian, the guy can fly around the ice. He penalty kills. He scored 20 goals last year. He can also fight. So Tom Wilson, another guy. You have to find these guys. And I mean, since I've been working a little bit with Sportsnet and Hockey Night in Canada the last couple of years, and the knock on the Leafs has been they haven't had a guy at all, like not one guy in their whole lineup that can stick up for teammates. And you got some high-end guys in Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Freddie Anderson's a friend of mine, like Morgan Riley's a friend of mine. You have some guys that need to be protected if a guy like the guys I mentioned come in and throw a knee or punch him in the head. So I'm kind of sitting back and watching. You think that you'd want at least 1 or 2 guys that can still play the game in the Leafs lineup that can help out in case something happens.
Those friends of yours, we have to try to get them on my show.
I'll try my best.
No worries.
I can get this guy on your show next. He's your next guest.
There you go. Hey, he's a special guest on this one.
Yeah, won't say much, but he'll be on.
There you go. Your first goal, first NHL goal. You remember it? Where was it? What was it like?
I do remember it because my first season in the NHL, I played 40 games and I didn't score. And I was kind of feeling a little bit of the pressure. So the next season, 5 games into the season, a defenseman on our team, Sammy Salo, got injured. So I was kind of thrusted up to the top power play unit. And that was kind of my opportunity, right? And then the first game on the top unit, I don't even think it was the top unit. It might have been the second unit. I got a pass from behind the net and I scored against San Jose, and it was in Vancouver. I just remember it being a bit of a relief more than anything.
And obviously, was that celly one of your best cellies ever?
No, I was still a young rookie. I didn't know how to celly properly. I saved my best for probably for the end of my career. I had some better cellies, and I just didn't score enough goals at the end of my career.
It's okay. You had the other roles. There's other roles in the game, right? And that's what makes a good team, right? With players to have all of these different roles being played on the ice. You retired only 2 seasons ago, right? Only 2 seasons ago, and that's pretty. That's not far. What did you feel? Did you feel like it was time to retire? Could you have given another season, or what was the overall feeling for yourself?
Yeah, it was a personal decision. When I went to the Spengler Cup, following that, I had several offers, not only from Switzerland and some teams in Europe, Sweden, but also a couple NHL teams that I spoke with. And I mean, it was just a personal decision for me not to move my family to another city. That was going to be a no-brainer. We weren't going to do that, so it was going to be probably a distance thing where I'd go live in a hotel and play, and I just didn't feel like it wasn't worth extending my career to live in a hotel by myself. Part of me, like, enjoying the game at the end of your career is being able to share with your family and your kids, especially, right, when they get old enough. And I'd be living by myself in a hotel, and it just didn't kind of quite make sense. So although I still feel like I could play right now at 39, you can't play forever, and at some point you got to call it a career. I had a lot of injuries throughout my career, a lot of different injuries, and I recovered from all of them, knock on wood. So I feel great. My body feels good. The only concussions I get these days are from tubing when my wife flips the boat, and wake surfing and wakeboarding. Those are the only head injuries I have now. So I'm pretty safe, and my body feels pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. I'm at the cottage. That's not bad.
She thinks it's funny when she flips the tube going 25 miles an hour, but that water hurts.
It does. Hey, those are like rocks coming at you. Trust me, I know, with the Sea-Doo in the tube. That's a tough feeling. What have you, switching gears a little bit, for the NHL in itself now, obviously they just came out with the proposed dates on when a return to play can be. You probably can't say too much about it, but what have you heard about the players returning? Do majority want to return? Are they scared to return? Or have you heard anything along those lines?
Well, there's a lot of moving parts here, and part of the issue returning to play was that they were going to link it to the CBA negotiations and make sure they get a deal ironed out and kind of move forward with the two together. It sounds like they've, at least the leadership for the unions, agreed to some tentative terms with the NHL, but now that has to be voted on by the players. So, you're going to have your answer to your question in a couple days when you see what the vote is, and the membership will tell. So there are a lot of people. Usually it's not much like most other places. The vocal people and the people that you've heard in the media are usually the minority. So we'll see what the majority of players think. I know it's pretty split. I think a lot of players want to return to play. I know every player wants to return to play, whether or not it's the right thing and the safest thing and going to be worth it. That's what we'll find out from the vote.
There's a lot of kids, and obviously a lot of the players that are on the Blades and were on the Blades that I broadcasted, of course. And obviously yourself coming from Grimsby and having a great NHL career, playing for Team Canada in a couple of tournaments. What could you say to those young kids, even in Burlington, where you did play in the junior A ranks, coming up and having a dream of playing the NHL?
I would say that I always had the goal to play in the NHL and, to get to the highest level. And that was kind of the end goal. But I enjoyed the ride. I always say, don't just hope for the summit of the mountain. Enjoy the climb. Like, make sure that you're enjoying the climb, all the hard work, the time in the gym, the skates. I used to go to Barton double rinks and skate to open shinny for 6 hours a day. And those are some of the first fights I ever got in, with no referees there, right? Just a bunch of steel workers on their lunch breaks. And I go with a friend, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed all my time in the gym. I enjoyed my college career and all the hard hours in the gym and practices and skates. And you just never know. You keep putting your head down, keep working. Next thing you know, guys that you thought were ahead of you fall off the hill, and you keep climbing and getting better and getting stronger. And next thing you know, you get your opportunity, and that's when you have to take advantage of it. So some people will only ever get one opportunity. Some will get 3 or 4 or 5. So you have to be ready for that one opportunity. That's why you put in all the hard work, and hopefully it works out. And
that's, I guess, in a way, everything in life, right? The boys and girls on the ice, myself doing what I'm doing here, you got to put the hard work in, be determined, and try to go to that next level.
Absolutely.
Listen, Kevin, there's a lot of I spoke to a couple former NHLers before, and hopefully I speak to more former and current moving forward in my new show. But I said it to a couple of them. You could have said no and given a chance, like a guy like myself trying to go up into business in the broadcasting world and trying to be in the NHL one day myself, but you didn't, and I appreciate it very, very much.
It's my pleasure, and good luck to you, Nicholas. And I enjoyed the talk, and hopefully, this guy's still sleeping, but he enjoyed it too. I think he enjoyed listening to it.
Thank you, Kevin. I honestly appreciate it, and keep safe still with you and the family, and enjoy this summer in Ontario, in Canada here.
I will. Thank you. Cheers.
Kevin Bieksa, everybody. Mamma mia, this is Fire Talk episode 8. Episode 9, we will be talking to another, episode 7, I should say, and then episode 8, we will be talking to a former NHLer as well. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. Follow us on social media at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk. Thanks, Kevin, once again. Mamma Mia.
Hits it in. A chance here can develop, but the Blades will look to take it. And Ricketts finds Israel's. Breakaway, Israel's. A chance. Backhand. Rebound. Scores! And the Oakville Blades win it here in Toronto. Blades win, Blades win, Blades win.
Garvey to Josh Belgrade. Into the zone. Belgrade, Wyatt Allen. These two had some history from Sunday. Blades are in. Chore the shot. Scores! Luke Chore. He's in and makes the game 3-1 for the Oakville Blades. A little spinorama down low in front of Colton. It's Mamma Mia. What a goal! Game is opening up in a big way for both teams. Ricketts centering, what a pass, Israel's breakaway, the move, scores! What a goal for the Alaska Fairbanks commit, the assistant captain, Harrison Israels, with an absolute dandy, split from right to left, and had Colton Inch, legs popped wide open. Now low to Lyons, Jack Lyons centering, scores! The double jacks combine, as that puck popped up like a jack in a box, and it's Jack Ricketts from Jack Lyons.
That was Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.